Hey guys, finally doing the PB-16 Ultra review. Just fair warning, Bear's been kind of in a mood. I turned the AC off and he started barking right away, so we might be hearing from him in this video. I'm trying out this new format. Let me know what you guys think. I'm just thought I'd give this a shot and see how it works out. I don't know if it'll work out for you guys on the viewing end, but I thought I'd give it a shot. All right, so I know it's taken me a while, but I'm finally getting it done. All right, so SVS has been cool enough to make me their first affiliate, and it's something I'm really proud of. And if you find my channel useful, it's not all about SVS products. I do some other stuff. I talk about Room EQ Wizard and stuff like that. But if you follow the links in the description, it's a great way to support the channel. It's something that doesn't cost you any extra, and you're still going factory direct. One of the problems people had when the PB-16 Ultra first came out is that some people weren't able to trade in their PB-13 Ultras because they bought them locally or from dealers. And the Bill of Rights is something that can vary between place to place, but from SVS directly, it's always the same. So that's just one of those things that I'd let you know about. And just so you guys know, phone orders are not tracked for me. Only links in the description. So even if you call and tell them, hey, I saw this video, it's why I'm calling, it still doesn't track. And the only way to track is going through the links in the description. I'm not saying you can't do phone orders. I'm just saying they don't really count for me. So, which is fine. Do whatever works best for you. And another thing about the links is they're not product specific. So you don't have to search for the exact product. If you want to buy a cable or something like that, any link will do. You can follow a PB-16 Ultra link and it'll take in, you can order whatever, it doesn't really matter which link brought you there. So, all right. So, and I also want to point out that I'm not compensated any other way from SVS. You know, like this equipment here is not mine to keep. It's something they loan out for me so I can make, you know, content and stuff like that. You know, it's not like they pay me for, you know, they don't say like, hey, here's $100, say something nice. It's just not the way it works. But anyway, my opinions are independent. SVS offers tech advice, but they do not editorialize. I decide what I'm going to create. So they actually have their own channel, which you can see is much more professional. You can see what happens when they are in control of the content. But anyway, I want to get into why it took me so long to do this. I had a rough start. I had an evacuation. I don't know if you guys saw that video. I think I did it either back in April or March. I had basically emptied out my entire house because we had a dam upstream that is actually still a pretty big issue. So this winter might be exciting for me. We'll see what happens. And then I also started off with only a single. They were trying to get their product out to everybody else. And so I was only able to get a single at the time. They want to make sure the customers are taken care of first. And I tried pairing these subs with other subs, or pairing the PB-16 Ultra with other subs, and I failed miserably. And I'm a big believer in using the exact same sub in a dual setup. Trying to match them with this subwoofer and that subwoofer just didn't work out. And for me, that's using the measurements and checking the actual response. I kept having cancellations I didn't like. I also had heat waves. I'm still in the midst of that. It happens to be an overcast day, so it was a great day to shoot. And I've also had some health issues. Summertime always messes with me, so that's been slowing me down too. Fibromyalgia is not a lot of fun, but I get it done. And I already actually shot this before, but I said something really stupid about the size, and I'll go into that in a minute. All right, so something I really want to point out, duals are everything, okay? If bass is not super important to you, a single will get you by. If you've got a basic home theater in a box with a single sub, no big deal, okay? It's not that big a deal to you, all right? But if you're looking at this subwoofer, bass is extremely important to you. If you're looking at a $2,500 subwoofer, you obviously take it seriously, okay? And the way I feel about it is buying a single PB-16 Ultra is like buying a Nissan GTR and putting cheap tires on it. It's just a bad idea. It's a disadvantage, okay? I've gone into why I think dual subs are important, and I just felt I would be really not helping my audience if I didn't really touch on this, because I was unwilling to do this review until I had duals. I had tried them with different size subs and all this other stuff. I never really got the full impression until I had both. So that's something really important to understand. At this level, yeah, it's got to be duals. It's got to be. All right. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out and spend twice as much, because some people would say, well, that's better for you if they spend twice as much. Well, of course it is, but what I'm saying is split your budget, okay? And go factory direct to ensure that you still get trade up. All right, the trade up is within a year you can send your subs back and they'll actually credit that full amount you spent, less shipping, towards the new product. And I'll tell you right now, that beats Craigslist all day long. Like if you go and you try and sell your subs on Craigslist, you're not going to get as much for it as you paid new, like SVS is willing to do. So, but again, you have to go factory direct for stuff like that most of the time. I mean, you can check, but most of the time you just want to go factory direct for that kind of thing. All right. And so dual PB-12 Plus will get you about the same output as a single PB-16 Ultra. Now, it has fewer bells and whistles. It doesn't have, the new amp. It doesn't have the apps. It doesn't have the remote control. There's a lot of things you don't get with that. But with a $2,500 budget, that's exactly what I would do personally, having experienced everything I've experienced. Duals are vital, guys. I can't hammer this hard enough because, again, if you're spending this much money on bass, you got to do it right. And I think doing a single is just a mistake. All right, so some of the technical numbers: 1,500 watts RMS, 5,000 watts peak. So I'm running 3 kilowatts RMS and 10 kilowatts peak in this room with duals. It's a lot of power. And I don't need an extra circuit. There's plenty of capacitance in these subwoofer amplifiers. Basically the storage. It stores up all that power so it's ready to go and just give you a pummeling. And it does. It's got a massive 8-inch voice coil, and again, I tried to get one of these. I don't think I'm going to, but you can see it in one of the SVS videos where you can see him handling a voice coil. It's maddening. It's crazy. It's huge. SVS was uncomfortable going with larger drivers with smaller voice coils. They didn't like the way it came out, and that's their personal thing. But that's why they've always kept it down to a 13-inch for their biggest driver. But now with this 8-inch voice coil, they've got a much bigger driver for the 16-inch sub. You've got RCA and XLR inputs. Otherwise, the back panel is pretty sparse. Most everything else is done through the app or the remote control. It's definitely got true 13 hertz performance in room. I can't even hear that low, but I can see it on the mic when I measure. It's there and it's powerful. It's got flat response that gets louder as you go deeper, which matches human hearing. As we hear lower and deeper frequency tones, it becomes harder for us to hear. And if you look at some of my response graphs on the website and stuff like that, you'll notice that they go louder as they go deeper. And that gives you basically the same impression of complete flatness. So that's one of the reasons SVS subs are so popular. They actually match the human hearing response, and it's a really impressive thing, especially if you've never heard it before. All right, now on to the app and the remote control. Now, remotes are nothing new. They've had remote controls for other subwoofers before. They may have even had apps before, I'm not entirely sure, but this app is absolutely awesome. It does a lot of different things. I'll be actually doing a separate video just on the app features and things like that. But the app it gives you so much control. It's very well thought out. And previously you had to kind of choose between bells and whistles and performance. You could get a sub that had a remote control. You can get subs with all kinds of neat bells and whistles, but to have subs that had this much performance backing them up is quite unique. Now the remote is one of these cool things. This is one of the things I like about this remote. It's aiming, okay? So I don't know if this is a happy accident or what, but basically, of course it's not going to work right now. As you point to the sub, it adjusts each one individually, okay? So if I just point at this sub and turn this one up, this sub doesn't go up in volume. It's just that sub. So it's got like a narrow beam so you can point to it. It doesn't really help so much if you've got subs that are behind you or obstructed from view, but for me it's worked out really well. I really enjoy having the remote. It allows me to go through and check out different things like gain effects and adjusting all that stuff. So it's been really fun for me. I've enjoyed the remote actually more than I thought I would. All right, and as I pointed out, the app is very well thought out. You can change the display and you can lock it. So if you've got kids that like to push buttons, you can lock that display so they can't change the front panel. So that's another handy thing. The app also allows multiple subs, which I think is completely necessary. And you can actually change the names too. So I've got this one set up as left and that one set up as right. So that's kind of cool. And the app is much easier to make adjustments than the remote. The remote in the front panel will work, but in the app you can actually see the PEQ graphs and things like that. So rather than guessing how the Q adjustments will change your response, you can actually see it. That visualization I think is really important. A lot of guys have these PEQs on their subwoofers on the back panel, and they don't really know exactly how that Q response is going to change things. This puts it in a visual context so you can have a lot better understanding. So that's handy. And also be sure to save your presets, because as you go through and change things, if you don't save the preset and you change from music to movie, it will change everything back to factory default. You've got to save everything in the factory preset, or in the preset, so that when you make changes, everything gets transferred over. So you don't want to like change from music to movies and have your port tuning change or something like that. That's one of those things I thought I caught as a flaw, but it was actually just me not reading directions. So that's one of those handy little tips I'll give you. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and start a new video. My camera only records to 12 minutes and 55 seconds. So this is just part one. Part two is coming up next. Appreciate you guys watching.